Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Berto Will is your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We have a very, very, very important show for you guys today. I mean, I think, I don't know if you've heard the news. I don't know how many of you have heard the news. But the fact of the matter is, if Donald Trump is not in trouble right now, if Donald Trump is not in more trouble than he has ever been, especially with this issue on the coronavirus, then he will never be. But I don't think that is a distinct possibility anymore, brothers and sisters. I do not think this time he can run. Because right now, all along we hear stories about Donald Trump. We hear stories about Donald Trump. The people who come, if you listen to many of our Trump supporters here, many times they'll say, these are anonymous folks that are not coming out and saying what the president is saying. They will always have a story to kind of defend the president for all the evil that he has done, for all the evil that he has been known for. They could always find plausibility. We have to remember something that is very important about these issues, right? There are a lot of people that are vested in this president. There are a lot of evangelicals who decided to support this president when their evangelical leaders decided to support this president. They had a reason to do that. Now we find out that a lot of these evangelicals that supported the president turned out they had some sex scheme that the president's guys were protecting him from. And we can go on and on and on and on that this was not real. What was there? Welcome aboard, David Salerno. Welcome aboard, Lee Grant. Welcome aboard, Bridge LCP. Welcome aboard, Michael Rudnin. So we have a lot to talk about today, and I have a lot to show you today. Believe it or not, this is a new program. The program we had was the daughter of a spy. That was the subject for today. But I think more than ever, now that this is fresh with Donald Trump, I think it is so important for us to spend some time on this. It is so important for me to hear your words. It is so important for you all of us to help those people who have been under the spell of Donald Trump to understand exactly what type of person this is. I think now is the time for us to use a different kind of parlance, to put not salt in the wound, to put sugar in the womb, to bring our people home. Those relatives of yours who are sycophants to Donald Trump, the family members of yours who just simply cannot seem to shake Donald Trump. It is time now for us to lay the cards on the table. It is time for us to guide them. It is time for us to give them a place to land. And when I say it's time for us to give us a place to land, I think it is important for these people to know, okay, I give, okay, it's okay, I understand now. And not have to feel the ridicule of, I told you so. We don't have to do that. Remember, our goal is much greater. Our goal is much more, it is much more important. Our goal is to really help our fellow man, our fellow woman, our fellow person. That is our goal. So I want everybody to look, this is the time that we have to make all this known. But anyhow, so what exactly are we talking about? Let's go ahead and get that started, and then we'll take it on the other side, brothers and sisters. This is serious. What the president did, what the president knew, this is serious. I want to play you this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Audio of some of those interviews has just been released. They are the receipts, as I said earlier, and they paint a damning portrait of this president's mishandling of the virus. President Trump admitted to Woodward that he intentionally downplayed the virus, even though he knew how deadly it was. Back in February, as the president was telling the public that the virus was no worse than a seasonal flu, here's what he told Bob Woodward.
It goes through air, Bob. That's always tougher than the touch. The touch, you don't have to touch things, right? But the air, you just breathe the air, and that's how it's passed. And so that's a very tricky one. That's a very delicate one. It's also more deadly than your strenuous flus. People don't realize we lose 25,000, 30,000 people a year here. Who would ever think that, right?
I know. It's
pretty amazing. And then I say, well, is that the same thing?
This
is more deadly. This is 5 per this is 5% versus 1%.
So that's what he told Woodward in February. And here's what he was telling the rest of us around the same time.
In many cases, when you catch this, it's very light. You don't even know there's a problem. Sometimes they just get the sniffles. Sometimes they just get something where they're not feeling quite right. And sometimes they feel really bad. But that's a little bit like the flu. It's a little like the regular flu that we have flu shots for. And we'll essentially have a flu shot for this in a fairly quick manner.
According to Woodward's book, the president was warned by his national security advisor and others that this was a deadly airborne virus, something the president seemed to confirm to Woodward himself, as you heard in that earlier audio. In his interviews with Woodward, President Trump admitted back in March that despite everything he knew, he remained intent on downplaying the threat. Take a listen.
Now it's turning out it's not just old people, Bob. Just today and yesterday, some startling facts came out. It's not just older.
Yeah, exactly.
Young people, to plenty of young people.
So
what's going on
give me a moment of talking to somebody, going through this with Fauci or somebody who kind of it caused a pivot in your mind, because it's clear just from what's on the public record that you went through a pivot on this to, oh my God, the gravity is almost inexplicable and unexplainable.
Well, I think, Bob, really, to be honest with you,
Sure, I want you to.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
Yes,
because I don't want to create a panic.
This is one of the most revealing portraits of the president's response to the COVID crisis, which has now killed nearly 200,000 people in the United States.
I'm Egberto Willies. Now, even as the president is coming clean, even as he's starting to say, oh, I am playing it down because I don't want to create a panic. Think about that. He could have said, yes, I'm playing it down not to create a panic. Understood. Let's say that there are times when leaders will do things like that. However, there is too much here. One, if he was playing it down just not to create a panic, he would not have been telling people not to social distance. He would not have been telling people that things are going to be just fine. He would not have been telling people, even though he knew better, that both young and old can get this disease and pass this disease. Remember, back in February, he knew all of this. He would not have told people that it's just like the flu, even though he's telling Woodward, one has a mortality of 5%, the other one of 1%. And guess what? That's 500% difference in mortality, right? He would not have said, oh, that stuff, it's not very contagious, even though then he knew it was being passed through the air. And what does that mean? That trying to ask people to wear masks, etc., made sense. Donald Trump is a pathological liar, but worse than that. Worse than that. What he's done is because of the leadership that he has displayed and because of those who follow him, the people who believe in him. They, for all practical purposes, he has killed them. Because what he has done is, in as much as he knew all of this, he knew it passed through air. He knew it was more deadly. He knew the old and the young got it. He knows that. It's not like he's saying, oh, maybe this, maybe that. Oh, those progressives are saying this, but in reality, you don't have to take it seriously. He knew it. And he cared so much about the people who love him so much that he really didn't give a damn. So for all of you who are following his every word, for all of you who are always defending this president, for the 40% or so that somehow can find it in their hearts to think there's something benevolent of this man, I've got to ask you, what is it going to take? You could dispel the last few stories where there were anonymous folks talking. Now you hear it in the president's own words. If you don't act based on what the president himself says, what does that say about you? This president has no right to be reelected. In fact, this president should be taken out of the Oval Office in shackles after putting so many Americans to death. You know, it's interesting because immediately after I wrote, I kept on saying how best to express this, and then I immediately, before I wrote the article on my own site, I went ahead and wrote the article on a quick article on Daily Kos. And the reason I went to Daily Kos is I wanted to sort of set the narrative there. So I want to read what I wrote there at Daily Kos. I said, we always knew Donald Trump was lying about the deadliness of COVID-19. What we did not know is that he knew the entire truth and wasn't simply willfully ignorant. He simply wasn't willfully ignorant. We thought, okay, he's just a stupid man. Okay, we know he doesn't care about anybody, but he couldn't really know this stuff and still tell folks that, and then go ahead and admitted it to a reporter, to this reporter. Now think about it. The guy's sick because he didn't even cover his tracks when he went with Woodward. Donald Trump admitted, this is what I wrote. Donald Trump admitted that he knew that COVID-19 was 500% more contagious and deadly than the flu. He admitted that he knew that both the young and the old got infected. Some of the president's sycophants may attempt to use the president's partial excuse that he did not want to create a panic. That would only have been a valid statement if he was not so adamant about not wearing masks, about people not protecting themselves. The president is a dangerous, uncaring person. It is clear that he is unfit for office. If this story isn't fatal with respect to his sycophants, then his statement of being able to shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not have any repercussions would have been realized 190,000 plus times. Think about that. Think about that. Now, Lee Grant just says, the left is desperate in light of Trump rising at the polls. All they have left is triple down on the Trump is evil trope. No, we don't have to triple down on Trump is an evil trope because Trump is an evil trope. And as far as his polls going up, I don't know what you're looking at, but if you take a look at what Pennsylvania was last week and what it is this week, he's up 9 points in Pennsylvania. He's up 5 points in Michigan. So no, I don't know what you are really looking at. Welcome aboard Nanette Bird-Smith. Welcome aboard David Salerno. Welcome aboard Lee Grant, Bridge MCP, Norman Reynolds, para ver quién más está aquí. Dimitri OG, ¿cómo estás, hermano? Jacoby G, welcome aboard. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Mike Cizak, welcome aboard. Okay. This, remember what I said. There's a particular select group of people that there's nothing this guy can do. The Fifth Avenue things apply. Listen to what my good friend here, Mike Cizak, has to say. Dr. Fauci says that he never get the sense that President Trump was downplaying COVID-19. And then he quotes, I didn't get any sense that he was distorting anything. In my discussions with him, they were always straightforward about concerns that we had. Of course, he works for the damn man. What do you expect him to say? But we don't have to take the word of Fauci. You guys have always complained about taking the words of somebody else. We are taking the words of Donald Trump. Donald Trump says he purposely and will continue to purposely downplay this because he said he didn't want anyone to panic. But let's again, is that true? Is it that he didn't want anybody to panic? No, it's not true. If he took it seriously, he would not be telling a reporter up and until yesterday to remove the masks that he had on his face. He would not have had those crowds out there praising Donald Trump yesterday. That is a sick person. And no, brother Lee Grant, it's not about just trying to use an evil trope. It's about him genuinely being evil. You have a full house of people shoulder to shoulder singing their praises to you. You will not get close to those people for fear of getting infected yourself. But you do not mind those people being together, infecting themselves among each other. Well, you know what? If I have 12,000 people in the stadium with me, I know that the mortality 500% over flu. And let's say I have 12,000. Let's say I go ahead and I lose 200-300 of those people. That's only 200 or 300 votes that I lose, that I die or otherwise. But the other 12,000, some may get sick or whatever, but they're already my sycophants. They're here. So I know that they still will go out there and vote. And I know that the excitement in seeing me will still be there. That is a sick person. That is a sick person. And for those who support that, there is something wrong with them. You have to admit that. There's something wrong with them. Well, good, lo and behold, brother El Senor Biden came with a good response. I was happy with his response. I'm not done processing the entire Biden video from, I think he's in in Michigan. But check out what he had to say. Here's Joe Biden.
On the day that we hit 190,000 dead in the United States because of COVID-19, we just learned from the Washington Post columnist Bob Woodward that the President of the United States has admitted on tape in February he knew about COVID-19 that had passed through the air. He knew how deadly it was. It was much more deadly than the flu. He knew and purposely played it down. Worse, he lied to the American people. He knowingly and willingly lied about the threat it posed to the country for months. He had the information. He knew how dangerous it was. Now, while this deadly disease ripped through our nation, he failed to do his job on purpose. It was a life and death betrayal of the American people. Experts say that if he had acted just 1 week sooner, 36,000 people would have been saved. If he acted 2 weeks sooner, back in March, 54,000 lives would have been spared in March and April alone. You know, his failure has not only cost lives, it sent our economy in a tailspin. It cost millions more in American livelihoods. This is a recession created by Donald Trump's negligence, and he is unfit for this job as a consequence of it. How many schools aren't open right now? How many kids are starting the new school year the same way they ended the last one, at home? How many parents feel abandoned and overwhelmed? How many frontline workers are exhausted and pushed to their limits? And how many families are missing loved ones at their dinner table tonight because of his failures? It's beyond despicable. It's a dereliction of duty. It's a disgrace.
I'm Egberto Woolley. It's a dereliction of duty. It's a disgrace. So people, by the way, the phone lines are open. If anybody wants to call in and make mention, I would love to hear Mike Cisak in the voice. Why don't you call in Mike Cisak and let's see how somebody who still refuses to address Donald Trump would talk to his people. I would love to know how you would speak to other Trump folk who hear this, who hear that he has put their lives in danger. How would you speak to them? What will you tell them? How would you explain to them that this man knew exactly what he was doing? How exactly do you tell them? Welcome aboard. Wolfbear71 says, no, we'll never convince a cult member of Trump's murdering Americans, but many of those who are not totally in the cult might realize that he allowed their family's potential deaths and virus. And I think that's an important statement, Wolfbear7. That's a very important statement that you've just made there. And let me tell you why. Because there are only a certain percentage that are sycophants. I have a relative that is that way, okay? And they are in overdrive right now. They understand that the president is losing and losing big. And they have all their people using their social media domains, their social media, and they first started out by putting a whole lot of stuff on their walls. And then they realized, oh my God, we got to get directly to people because my wall is only going to be shared so much. And, you know, their leaders are telling them this. Their leaders are saying, look, we have to be an army now for Donald Trump. Not realizing that these are leaders who followed Donald Trump, many of them on false pretenses. Of course, we had Jerry Falwell's son who had a sex escapade and was likely, even though Cohen doesn't say it, was likely blackmailed into supporting Donald Trump. And again, I don't know that for a fact. And you know, when I don't know something for a fact, I also state that I don't know it for a fact. But it's a good assumption that if you have Cohen involved with pictures, nude pictures of Falwell's wife and himself with a lover, that somehow that has more than likely, if Donald Trump is involved, there's likely some blackmail out there. So we have these religious people that are in that Donald Trump holds something over their head. You ask, how comes you have so many of these guys out there, senators and judges and others, that continuously support Donald Trump? There are two different reasons. One are sycophants. Sycophants are there because praises be unto you, Donald Trump. We love Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a savior. And how did they become that way? A lot of times from the evangelical pastors who these people have undying respect for. They listen to their shepherd, right? So they follow these guys at all costs, and they just march in step. There are people that are that way. There are others who are doing it for their own self-preservation. Many of the Republican senators, many of the Republican Congress people, many of the people who work for Donald Trump, they hate his guts. They know what he's doing is destroying democracy. They know what he's doing is they know all that he's doing is wrong. They know it. They know it. But what happens then? What happens then is they know that there are two things. He either has something holding against them, or that their vote is dependent on those who support Donald Trump. So therefore, if they cross Donald Trump, their electability goes to zero. They know that. They know that. So how is that going to be mitigated? How is that going to be mitigated? Welcome aboard, John Buchanan, and thank you so kindly for those kind words. And by the way, folks, yesterday I just got notice from YouTube. YouTube is allowing us to take on subscriptions. So you can join our YouTube channel, and if you join our YouTube channel, we put your name on our website if you so want, saying you are a supporter of independent media. $1.99 is to get, if you go to, if you just click that join button right there under on YouTube, click that join button and become a supporter of this show, showing us that we support moving us forward and telling the truth and talking to the other people. Let me see. I'm near half hour. Let me go and do this before I do the other video. I also wrote a book. It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors. And why did I write this book? Especially now. Why did I release it now? I have a book ahead of this one. Why did I release this one now? Because I think this is, our election right now is existential for America as we know it. And how do we get around that? We have to be able to talk to Mike Cisak. Mike Cisak is a right-wing supporter of Donald Trump that is here every day. I love Mike Cisak. And Mike Cisak knows that I'm frank. And Mike Cisak is going to constantly come here, and some call him a troll. I don't call him a troll. I call him somebody who is looking for something. And he's here all of the times, and he's refuting everything that we have to say. But he's here. Keep that level of keep communication open with those that you believe don't agree with you on this domain, because you may not win over 100% of them. You may not win over 75% of them. You may not win over 50% of them, but you may win over 10%. You may win over 20%. It doesn't matter. Because the delta that you win is the landslide margin. Notice that I've been telling everybody here, I want nobody to be scared during this election. I just want you all of us, to do our jobs. Support our independent media that's out there getting things done. But again, do not fear at all, because we are going to win this, and win this big, if we do our job. And I mean that from the depths of my heart. That is not wishful thinking. That is not Trumpian thinking. That is just understanding humanity and understanding that if we, notice I'm not saying it's a sure thing. What I'm saying is if we do our job. One of the problems that fear does to many people is it puts them in a ball. It puts them in a curl that says, I'm so scared. I can't go out there and win this thing. I cannot do that. I fear this. And because I fear this, I don't do what is necessary. A friend of mine wrote in a notice to me on one of my posts yesterday. She said, Egberto, I wish I was as optimistic as you are. I said, whenever the optimism leaves you, call 5 people and tell them, please, remember to go out there and vote. Remember to go out there and save this country. Remember to go out there and save your brother, your sister, your family, and all of those, even those who support Donald Trump without understanding that Donald Trump is really a fatality to them. Everybody. I am talking to Lee Grant. I am talking to Mike Cisak. I'm talking to Daniel Ledo. You can come on here and you can rattle and you can scream and you can tell us the things that you want to do to make your point. All I'm asking you when you go into that booth is to remember one thing. And that one thing is your vote is between you, your God, and that machine or that piece of paper. Vote your interest. And you don't have to come out and say, guess what? I went ahead and I listened to Politics Done Right, or listened to what Rudnin was saying, or I listened to what Reynolds was saying, and they made so much sense. I couldn't admit that in the forum. But when I'm going to vote, I know that my daughter is going to need health care. I know that I want my daughter to go to college, or I want my daughter to go to that trade school. I know that I want to ensure that, my God, I want to make sure that we can breathe, man. I'm seeing all these fires. I'm seeing all these things. You know, they're telling me, my right side are trying to convince me. The Powell Manifesto is trying to convince me that all these things that I'm seeing with my eyes, they're not real. But my God, the fire burns. But my God, the storms are coming. But my God, my daughter gets sick, and when she gets the bill, she can't afford it, and the only option she has is bankruptcy. And when you start making that a part of your life, you can sing any song around your friends. But a lot of your friends are going to do the right thing as well. A lot of your friends are going to say, damn it, maybe this is just the time that we've got to make that change. Maybe this is the time that we have got to take things seriously. Just maybe. Just maybe. Pedro Abad Alvarez. Hello, Egberto. I love your show. Thank you. But it's my first time here. I would like to know if anyone has formally sued Trump at the International Criminal Court in The Hague for what is... Pedro Abad Alvarez. Perfecto. I love what you just had to say. Because what I'm going to hope for is for people to get together and do exactly what you've just asked about, Pedro Abad Alvarez. David Salerno, fascism maybe, we know it is. And Bilk Tazism Ole, welcome aboard. Hi, welcome aboard. Mbombe, welcome aboard. Floyd. I don't know what you mean by that, so I'll leave that one alone. I just want to bring up something, and we're talking about Bridge MCP, going by the comments here, Trump supporters still don't see. Let me tell you something, Bridge. Let me tell you what never to expect. Never expect when we're talking to our brothers and sisters on whatever side that they're on, for them to ever come out and say, oh, I've seen the light. That's not how it happens, right? That is how it happened with me. When I made my transition from being a homophobe into understanding that I had a problem, I was sick. For me, it was like that. I went ahead and made that change instantaneously mentally. But it took a while before it came from the heart. Most people don't make that change instantaneously because there's a fight within their psyche. There's a fight that is saying, I really have been wrong. No, I'm not wrong. And, it is like in the mornings, 4 times a week. Used to be 5. I had to reduce it 4 times. I'm getting older. I can't keep up that pressure of riding the bike hard too much. But I used to, there's a fight every time I go to ride. Instead of taking it slower so that I could do 5 days a week and be more consistent and not be super tired when there's a fight that is occurring every time I get on the bike, a fight with myself, a fight with myself, a fight with myself. That is what happens when you're talking to people who believe in Trump, who believe in these things that they shouldn't. They've believed in it for so long, they cannot believe that they could have been wrong. I could not believe that I could have been wrong on so many things. I have developed enough strength of character, enough strength that I can say if somebody refutes me and I find out that I'm wrong, I can immediately give the kudos to that person and say, oh my God, you're right. I screwed up. I was wrong. And for me, it's a learning experience that's appreciated, that I appreciate from the other person having sent me straight. The problem is that what we have learned and what Trump has taught and many have taught as well is that somehow admitting to making a mistake, even though it's a human trait, somehow saying that you were wrong, even though many times we are, is somehow makes you a weaker person. And it doesn't. It just makes you someone who is capable of learning. And you know, I've seen people come on to this show and corrected me on something that I may have thought of, and I've changed immediately. That's the one part that I wanted to put in the book that I didn't. I wanted to find examples where people had corrected me of something on air that I actually came out with. I've given the story about homophobia. I've given a couple other stories in the book, but the one that I couldn't find was there are a few instances where good-meaning people have called in and corrected something that I've said that, you know, I wanted to make known right away. Hey, John Peter corrected me when I said XYZ, and I want it to be known. And it is with that heart that I want those people who are on this show, Mike Cizek, Daniel Ledo, all these guys to eventually say, I see that. I see that. Okay, I'm still a conservative. I'm still a Republican, but I see what you're saying. I see that the numbers add up. I see that Donald Trump hid something from us. I see that Donald Trump, had he come out and said this virus was airborne, more people would have been willing to wear a mask. I see that if Donald Trump was honest with us that kids get it also, we would not have gone under the false assumption that young people just miraculously don't get the virus, or miraculous if they get the virus, somehow it's better. We know now from the tapes, this isn't third hand. This isn't, I didn't say that. This isn't something else. This is Donald Trump's own words saying, I knew that this virus was airborne. I knew that young people got this virus and can get just as sick. I knew that this virus was 500% more lethal than the flu. I knew all of these things, but I was willing to sacrifice all of those people who believed in me to still go out there and lie to them. That particular lie was fatal to many. That particular lie was fatal to many. And for that, Donald Trump deserves to be convicted of voluntary manslaughter. And had he not been the president, just like Brother Reynolds just made a mention of Typhoid Mary, we should have had that. Let's see, Mike Salerno says, Egberto Willis, I have met 7 flat earthers here in Texas. Now, all 7 flat earthers are vehement Trump supporters. That doesn't mean that all Trump supporters are flat earthers, but it does mean that all flat earthers are vehement Trump supporters. This means that there is a conspiracy theorist element among Trump supporters that defies logic, science, and even the very enlightenment of society. But I bet if you told them to put their hands on a hot plate, they will not. If you told them that Donald Trump said, if they put their hands on that flaming hot plate, it won't burn, I bet they will not put their hands on that flaming hot plate. What am I trying to imply by that? What I'm trying to put out there is that there is a point in time where even those sycophants, even those who follow what you just said, Salerno, even those people have a breaking point. Back in Guyana, those people who drank the poison, some of them drank the poison because they were weak They just couldn't say no, even though they knew it was their demise, an unworthy demise. They knew that, but they still drank that poison Kool-Aid. Others ran away. But many, many, many also knew what they were doing and went ahead and did better. I want to change a little bit here because for all the folks, Donald Trump have been trying very hard to work on a black following. And, he's been telling, there's a whole lot of memes out there now. He's hired a whole lot of black folks that are putting out memes. We have Candace Owen, who has made a fortune in denigrating black folks on false pretenses, etc., etc., etc. There's a Candace Owen out there, and there are a lot of Candace Owen lookalikes coming out now. I mean, in fact, I've gotten offers to support the Donald Trump method, the Donald Trump memes, etc., and I could make good money doing that, right? I could join the club. I mean, I have the emails here where you see they talk about they first send you an essay. They ask you to print this essay at your website, and then they say, oh, by the way, we would like to start advertising at your website. We'll give you $200 or $300 per essay that you put on the website. And you read the essay and you realize it's right out of the Trump think tank, right? And in as much as 200 and 300 or 400, or there's one that came with $500 for a particular essay to put on the site. And, this is a very difficult business, folks. I'm sorry. When you decide to turn your life over to political activism and doing this sort of independent media, it's not easy. You ask anyone that I've interviewed here, it's not an easy task. So a lot of people did it. There's a guy on TV a couple of weeks ago that came out and said he didn't realize he was working for the Russians when he printed one of those articles. But this one that I got was deeper than the Russians. This one was actually a part of the entire right-wing network system. They look for particular audiences where they think they could add some penetration. So I got the email and I looked at the email and I saw the 400. And one of them I responded. I said, how do you pay? Give us your PayPal number. As soon as it's up for more than 24 hours, we'll send you the $200 to your PayPal address, right? I'm like, okay, cool. But that was the end of the conversation. Because while some people may take advantage of those kinds of things, you can make a quick $5,000, $10,000 in a couple weeks if you really want to sell your soul. Take you a hell of a lot more time to get that in Patreon. Oh, you know what? While I'm doing this, I better go ahead. Hey, folks, those of you who are listening on YouTube, we can now accept memberships on YouTube for $1.99 for becoming a supporter of independent media and above. But what we really need as well are those of us who are going to support Politics Done Right via, what again? Via Patreon. And here's the link to support us via Patreon. If you go to politicsdoneright.com, Patreon, politicsdoneright.com/PATREON, you can support what we're doing here. You can support us getting the message out. You can support us helping us to help others not be taken in by the media and the sycophants, like, let's say, Candace, those that are doing evil like Candace Owens and others that are really messing with people's minds. You can also support us at PayPal. If you go to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal, you can also support us either with a one-time donation or you can give us a series, whatever you want to do. You can also support us at politicsdoneright.com/Facebook. We just started using Facebook. We don't have a lot of support there yet. We'd love to get more support at Facebook as well. And you can shop at our store. Our store is politicsdoneright.com/store. And what do you get at our... Did I put the store up? Let me put the store up. There we go. Come on, Egberto. ¿Por qué estás haciendo esto? I probably missed the store. Let me get the store. Get that there. Put the store in there. And politicsdoneright.com/store if you want to support us at the store. And you can get this at the store. You can get our coffee mug. And you can get our t-shirts. You can get our book, any one of our books. This is the latest book that I have here. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Neighbors, Relatives, Friends. My weight loss book, as you know, I've had a weight problem. I've solved it, and that's how I did it. And, of course, my As I See It, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. Again, to do this, we need your support. Of course, you know, we write blogs several times a day. EgbertoWillies.com is our blog site. EgbertoWillies.com. Okay, I want to show you something. As I was mentioning before, Donald Trump is coming out and he said, oh, we support black people. I want you black people to know that, yes, the employment rate has really increased under Trump to support you. We are doing good things. That's what he says in public, right? But first of all, he didn't really do good things. The unemployment rate was on the decline when Obama left office. The steep decline changed when Donald Trump came. It was on a much steeper decline with Obama. No doubt about it. But anyhow, check this out about Donald Trump. I'm going to play this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
In another conversation about race on July 8th, Trump complained about his lack of support among black voters. I've done a tremendous amount for the black community, he told Woodward, and honestly, I'm not feeling any love. But it's this last excerpt that I want to put up here on this issue. Woodward then asked the president about white privilege, noting that they were both white men of the same generation who had privileged upbringing. Woodward suggested that they had a responsibility to better, quote, understand the anger and pain felt by black Americans. No, Trump replied, his voice described by Woodward as mocking and incredulous. You really drank the Kool-Aid, didn't you? Just listen to you. Wow. No, I don't feel that at all.
In other words, I feel zero empathy. Zero empathy that America had done wrong to a particular group. Actually, it's a particular set of groups had done wrong by them, and that the wrong that was done to them is systemic, and because of that, the condition that many are in right now is a direct result of all of that. And to Woodward, Woodward was accepting of that, and what did Woodward say? Absolutely not. I mean, Donald Trump, absolutely not. Not a possibility. I have no interest. People, this is our president. This is the President of the United States. This is our president. Hey, let me tell you something, folks. We got to vote. We got to remember to vote. There's a piece about, you know, everybody's concerned about the mail-in vote, etc. I want to play you a piece that I did. I was supposed to play this piece several times, but I hadn't gotten around it because the news keeps happening. The news keeps happening, folks. It keeps happening. But hey, we're gonna keep it going, brothers and sisters. We're gonna keep it going. Hey, we just reached over 100 and something message, and the streamer I was saying, Egberto, go ahead and tweet this. So I just went ahead and tweeted it. We'll see. Anyhow, want you to listen to this, brothers and sisters. Please listen to this now. I think this is it. That's it. We all know there's a fall debate occurring right now. I mean, it's interesting, right? Republicans have always done well with mail-in votes, and it turns out they've always liked mail-in vote because older people vote by mail, and in general, older people have always supported the Republican ticket, or more so than Democrats, and it was great. But now that things are seeming a little bit more tenuous, Republicans don't like the idea, or specifically Donald Trump doesn't like the idea of vote by mail, because as it turns out, all the polls are starting to say that older folks kind of like Biden, and several people who are likely to vote by mail because of the pandemic don't quite like Donald Trump. So what best to do than to corrupt people's mindset about voting? Well, you know, there's a guy I heard today on Meet the Press who did a great job, a cogent job in describing what we're going through with the vote by mail, and how everybody should be talking about vote by mail, and even those who think they want to follow the president should think about it. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
The best way for anybody to guarantee that their vote counts is this year. It's an unusual year. Vote early. Whether you vote by mail early, or whether you vote in person early, whether you use drop boxes, which is actually how most people who vote by mail vote. And that is something we as citizens can do. States need money. Congress passed some, but it's all bollocksed up in the negotiations over the stimulus. More money will help states count the ballots better. The private sector can step in. But I do think that you've hit on something else, which is all of us need to understand that every vote should count, whether it's voted by mail or voted in person. Every vote should count. And this idea that there's something wrong with vote by mail in the middle of a pandemic, that's not a charge. That's a lie. And it's extraordinary to have the President of the United States going out of his way to try to undermine faith in American democracy in the middle of a crisis like this. So, we all need to be patient and understand, as you've said, it's not going to be election night. We're not going to have the announcement at 11 o'clock on the East Coast, probably the way we have other years. But that doesn't mean there's a problem. It just means people are carefully counting the votes.
In the span of a minute and a half, he did 4 important things. 1, remember, you are, irrespective of what happens, you are in control. So just make sure if you're voting by mail, as soon as you get that ballot, vote immediately. Preferably use drop boxes or take that ballot directly into the county office. That way, you don't depend on the postal service or anything, but you are in command to determine if that vote is going to count. Secondly, he points out that you should be able to put pressure on Congress because that money thing, more money to count faster, is still in that. Is still placed in the stimulus bill. Well, you have control. You can contact your government and say, hey, pass that confounded bill. Thirdly, he then makes sure to put the blame where it belongs. Donald Trump is lying about voting by mail being fraudulent, voting by mail being anything other than what it has always been. He made sure to let you know that that you can vote by mail and feel assured that it is very secure for you to do so. And lastly, he made it that do not expect that you will absolutely for sure have the name of that president by 11 o'clock Eastern time. Be prepared to wait. Be prepared to wait maybe hours, maybe days, maybe a couple weeks. I personally think that by the time all of this washes out, Donald Trump would have made himself such a complete impotent to all except to the most extreme cultists and sycophants that, in fact, we will have an election quite early, because when North Carolina is called early, because they are very good at doing this, I think we'll see the direction of the election. So, by all means, listen to what he had to say. And remember, you are in control. Vote early. And for those who can vote in person, both in early voting and on election day. Okay, now here's the deal. I'm going to go ahead and start answering those questions on the top right now. Let's see. First of all, let me welcome the new people that have come in. David Salerno, welcome. Michael Cisak, para ver. Nanette Bird Smith, Gracie Allen, welcome aboard. Paul Fleming, Daniel Lado, Bridge MCP, welcome. Let's see. Para ver quién más está aquí. Paul Fleming, welcome aboard. Let's see, that's a difficult name. Wolf Bear 7, welcome aboard. Norman Reynolds, Mike Cisak, Salerno, I think I got you. Got Wolf Bear 2. I'm scrolling, it's a lot of messages. Bib H _G, welcome aboard. Also, Besic Tassim Olay, welcome aboard. Mbombo, welcome aboard. Pedro Abab Alvarez, welcome aboard. Let's see who else. And I just saw some more messages come in, so I'll scroll down and tell you hi in a minute. Norman Reynolds, I think I got you. Angelina ST, welcome aboard. John Buchanan, welcome aboard. Let's see, ¿quién más está aquí? Paul Fleming, I think I got you. I can't remember all these things. Come on, mine. There's a lot of stuff going on right now to keep tabs on. Wow. There are a lot of folks. Dimitri OG, Jacoby G. Michael Rudnin. Okay, come on. Who else is here? I think I got all. And let me go to that new message that came in to see if it's a new person. That is Paul Fleming. Okay, let's go ahead and start answering some questions or looking at some of your notes, your comments. Lee Grant, Trump just got nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize in recognition of a historic UAE-Israel accord. That's got to be trouble, my leftist friend. Not really at all. First of all, you cannot be nominated for the Nobel Prize. And not only that, so what? Donald Trump is just a total failure. So I don't really think a Nobel. First of all, he will not win a Nobel Peace Prize. Impossible for him to win. The only way he wins a Nobel Peace Prize if he bribes somebody, and I don't know if he has the money to bribe anybody because he's not as rich as you would think he is. Michael Rudnin, Lee Grant, Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize, then bombed 26,000 times in 2016. I knew you would come up with something like that, Rudnin. I knew it. Lee Grant, Egberto wields a broad brush when he targets all evangelicals. You know what? I am going to give that to you, Lee Grant. You're right. I shouldn't say evangelicals. I should say Trump supporting evangelicals. Thank you for the correction. You're absolutely right. I did paint it with a broad brush. Correction. I hope you accept the correction. All right. Let's see what else is here. Michael Rudnin says, we've lost 190,000 Americans to coronavirus. Trump failed at every instance. Trump knew it would be spread asymptomatically via coughing, taking even a breath. That mandatory mask would stop the spread, and in so many other countries. Yes. And, we have to come to the conclusion that Donald Trump has committed voluntary, not involuntary, voluntary manslaughter. Voluntary manslaughter. Let's see. Jacoby G say, hola, Egberto. Hey, how is it holding back paying taxes and then making people pay it back next year? Help. A lot of people depend on getting back money at the beginning of the year. Look. I don't know what they're doing with the tax stuff right now, to tell you the truth, Jacoby. I don't know how all of this stuff is going to work out because we are, there's such a laissez-faire actions with the ways people are going to get stimulus. Otherwise, I don't know. And when I don't know something, I say I don't know. Demetrio G, El Presidente is comfortable with citizens' debts. Yes, they are. Yes, he is. This isn't a movie. We're not expendables. You're right. I'm sorry. You're right. David Salerno says, I would consider this action worthy of sending him to The Hague for crimes against humanity. Remember that the real death count is at least 30% higher. And that is true because they don't count all those people that have died at home. You're right. You're right. All right. Michael Rudnin says, clipping. Oh, yeah, I did put all these clippings on YouTube already because I think this is so important that I wanted other people to go out there and share it as well. So, right. And this is where Norman talks about typhoid. Mary did the same thing. You're absolutely right. And they did put her, typhoid Mary did the same thing the president has done. And I believe they were put in jail, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she was put in jail. Okay. Nanette Bird says, just remember, Bob Woodward exposed Watergate and he is a truthful journalist. Yes, he is. Most journalists are truthful. Just most journalists aren't that good because they fear repercussions for quite a few things. David Salerno says, Charles Manson, Jim Jones, the many other death cults we've had in this country. Yeah, we're popular for that. Jim Jones was here, then he went to Guyana. All right, para ver, no, we'll never convince a cult member of Trump's murdering. Come on, don't ever stop trying. In fact, when you feel like stopping to try, go ahead and get my book. And there's a link to my book. It's worth it. It's worth talking to people irrespective. Don't forget it. If you like humanity, if you believe in human beings, I have relatives that are Trump supporters. Am I going to stop trying to tell them, even if they're going to remain what they're doing, please just vote in their interests of their families? No, I'm not. I am not going to do that. So get the book, and we can all be empathetic. We can all hate what they're doing, but still love them, right? We can still hate what they're doing and still love them, and that's where we have to get. We have to be the bigger persons. We have to be the ones that are willing to say, okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Okay, para ver. David Salerno says, actually, if Trump had worked as hard as Obama had eliminated pandemics, the death count wouldn't be over 800,000 as it is today and approaching 1 million soon. I want to tell folks something because David Salerno, you came up with a very important point. Obama didn't only save the world from what's the name of that virus, that crazy virus, but he sent people all over the world to help mitigate that virus so that it not only did not spread in the United States, it did not spread around the world. He understood how interconnected the world is. He used science. That is what was missing. Even if Donald Trump had locked down America, we would have still had problems. Obama saw the necessity in opening it up. He had two pandemics. He had two possible pandemics. H1N1, and then he had the virus, that curly virus. I don't remember the name of it. You guys know what it is. Somebody's going to tell me what it is pretty soon. Okay, let's see. I still have 1 minute, actually. I have 1 minute. So let me go to the bottom where new messages are coming. Lee Grant says, it's my interest to end political violence. Lee Grant, you're my brother. We won't have political violence if we have Ebola. Thank you, Roberto, my brother from Panama. Muchas gracias, hermano. Ebola is the virus. Thank you, hermano. And David Saledno reminded me, Ebola, Tama, H1N1. Oh, hey, man, you know what? Like I always say, we learn from each other. We got so many great people in here. Everybody. Hey, folks, we got to shut down this show. So what I need to ask you again is to support the show. Those of you that are on YouTube right now, you have two options now. You can click that join button on YouTube. It's very inexpensive to become a member of Politics Done Right, a member of all our media, not only Politics Done Right, but all the blogs that we do. And we give you notice, we give you mention. Or you can also give what's called a super chat. Click that $ and give the super chat to help our program. Those of you who are watching on Facebook, you can always go to this, what I'm going to give you here, which is a link, politicsdoneright.com/Facebook. But where we would really like to build our, a big notion, a big group of folks is on our Patreon, which is found at politicsdoneright.com/Patreon, Patreon. That's P as in person, Patreon. And as well, you can support us at PayPal, which is at politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. So, folks, I want to thank you guys. You guys can be anywhere. You guys can get your information from anywhere. We try to put some more into the information. We try to expand it more so than they can on mainstream media for the restrictions that they have with the support that they must get from the people who pay them, from the advertisers, etc. I don't have advertisers that I owe anything to. I only owe the truth to you. Nada más. Nada más tengo que decir la verdad a ustedes. I only have to tell you the truth. I only have to tell you what I considered an educational analysis. Okay? And so I ask you guys again to support us. Again, if you're on YouTube, go ahead and click the join button and become a member. I ask you also to go ahead and get our book. Get our book. The book's been doing very well. I want to show you that for some time it was number 1 and number 2. The number 1 was our the e-copy, and number 2 was the hard copy. So Tank 28, how are you doing, my brother? 53 days. Tank 28 is another friend of ours. He comes in. He's a Trump supporter, but by the end of this month, more than likely, he's going to be on board with us all. He doesn't believe it quite yet, but I love Tank 28. Tank 28 is another brother of mine. I think you're a guy, right? So I'm going to say another brother of mine. Anyhow, folks, together, whether you're right, left, middle, or whatever, let's support each other. Let's remember we're all human beings. Let's love on each other. Let's not let politicians split us up because we all want, need, must have the same things. All the other things that split us up was designed so that a distinct few, the plutocracy, can keep control over us. I discussed that in the book as well. So please, please, even as we disagree, even as I'm going to try to tell you progressivity is where we want to be, I want us all to stay and remember, support each other. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this, baby? I am what? Out! I'm Egberto Willies, host of Politics Done Right, an independent news program. I post several news videos of interest every day. I ask you so kindly to subscribe to my channel and please leave me some comments. Thank you very much.